How's it going, everybody? CJ here, back into the video. We're doing the first thoughts today. This first thought is on Gyome Master Chef. Before we hop into this, though, remember, subscribe to the channel. Just press the subscribe button. It's really easy. It's right down there in the bottom corner. Just click it, please. We're getting close to 1,000. We've gotten like tons of views recently, but not enough people subscribing. So hit that subscribe button. Also, like this video. Comment down below if I mess anything up in this video. And also comment down below what you're doing with Gyome. Linked in the description, we got the Discord, we got the Twitch, we got TCG player affiliate link, and we got the Patreon. So TCG affiliate link and Patreon, help support the channel. Do that. And I will hop into this. So, Gyome Master Chef. This card's really cool. One thing to make sure that you realize is that you can tap your opponent's creatures down, just in case you need to, by just paying 1 and sacking a food. This card's actually sneaky powerful. It's a lot stronger than I gave it credit for when I first looked at it, and I actually found a lot of cool synergies with it. So one thing that works really well in this deck is there's an infinite combo. It doesn't actually use the commander, but it fits really well in the deck. So first you're going to need a token doubler, and token doubler is just good in this deck, being Parallel Lives, Primal Vigor, and Doubling Season. All those are already going to be solid in the deck because you're making a lot of food tokens, but you're going to need one for the infinite combo. It's not a great infinite combo. It takes a lot of parts, which is sometimes a lot of fun, but it works. And so you use a token doubler. You have Clock of Omens, so that way when you make 2 foods, you can tap both foods to untap Witch's Oven, and you use Cauldron Familiar. So you sack Cauldron Familiar to Witch's Oven, making a food, but instead it's 2 foods. Then you use both those foods to untap Witch's Oven with Clock of Omens. You bring the cat back into play, and you just cycle through that over and over and over again. The cat kills everybody. That seems great. That seems like an awesome, fun little combo to throw in this deck. So it's a good combo to build the deck around, and I'm happy about that. Next up, I'm going to mention just some cards that seem very good in the deck, just synergistic cards. You got Disciple of the Vault. You've got a lot of food tokens. You're going to be having food tokens being sacrificed all over the place for different reasons. You can drain your opponents doing that. You've got Inspiring Statuary and Blinkmoth Urn, which essentially turn your food tokens into extra mana. Really nice synergy there. Cranial Plating, so you can deal a lot of damage just by stacking up a ton of foods. And since your commander can become indestructible and tap down your opponent's creatures, you can actually make this a pretty cool Voltron commander, throwing in a lot of like the big Voltron-y equipment. Cranial Plating being a very good one just because it pumps a lot because of artifacts. And swinging in for lethal when you have the correct board state to do so and can tap down enough creatures without overwhelming yourself. You can also use cards like Underhanded Designs, Reprocess, Trading Post, and God Eternal Bond 2. All those seem very good for card draw, using your food and turning your food into cards. Seems good. Next up, Mycosynth Golem. Similar with Inspiring Statuary and Blinkmoth Urn, you make it so your artifacts cost less. Seems pretty decent. KCI or Kark Clan Ironworks. You can turn your food into mana. Seems great. Kadoltha Forge Master. Turn your food into anything you need out of your deck that's an artifact. Awesome. Royal Assassin. You can tap down your opponent's creatures, so why not just kill them too? Second Harvest. The harvest is going to double the foods. So much food. It's a big harvest. Strionic Resonator Lithoform Engine. Copy the food creating trigger, so that way your chef is working overtime and makes double food. Seems fun. You got Arcbound Ravager and Defiant Scavenger. Both of those are pretty decent sacrifice outlets for your foods, just to make some big creatures. You got Fangren Marauder, Scrap Heap. Both of those, just those two. Both of those give you extra life gain when your food is sacrificed in any way. So that seems pretty decent, just extra life gain. There's going to be a good deck. You're going to definitely be getting a good amount of life with this deck, so you can throw in some life gain synergies because food gains life. Seems good. This because you have a way to gain a lot of life, you can throw in Sanguine Bond to help drain your opponents. And if you do so, you can also just throw in Exquisite Blood, so you have an infinite combo there as well. Summoning Station, you can just crank out a lot of tokens pretty easily. Lich's Mastery actually seems kind of decent in this deck. It's a super risky card normally, but this deck provides a lot of food tokens. Food tokens can be exiled to the Lich's Mastery trigger, right? It doesn't say non-token. Please tell me it doesn't say non-token and I'm not an idiot. Does not say non-token. Okay, good. So you can use food tokens to exile when you lose life, but you can also crack food tokens to gain life and draw cards. Like, it just seems very, very good in this deck, and I'm actually very excited about this. Lich's Mastery is a super cool card, and it might actually work in this deck. I really want to see somebody try it out. I probably won't, but I might. But it just seems very cool. I like the synergies with it. Next up, we got Ezra Channeler. I'm going to talk about a few of the new cards here. Ezra Channeler. You can make it so your creature spells cost less mana just based on how much life you gain. Since you're cracking foods, it's going to be easy. It already does tap for 2 life, so that way it's already 2 less. Crack a food, that's 5 life total. That seems great. You got Tavash Gloom Summoner. Just an additional way to make tokens with your extra life. You got Trudge Garden. So you can create a bunch of tokens again. Then you got Vane Witch Coven, which lets you recur stuff, which seems very good in this deck because you're going to want to recur a lot of things. You want stuff bouncing in and out of your graveyard. You want to be playing a lot of creatures. Seems good in this deck. Another interesting card in this deck could be Heartless Summoning, because it makes your creature spells cost 2 less. And if you're going to be playing a lot of creatures, that could be pretty decent. And the -1/-1 might end up helping you as a free sacrifice outlet. But yeah, it's not a bad card in this deck, I don't think, depending on the way you build the deck. It's definitely a riskier card. Next up, I want to talk about Aristocrats, because this is going to be a good Aristocrats deck, just like a lot of the new commanders are. So you're going to want your card draw package for when creatures die. You got some death triggers. And then you've got the life drainers. So those are all going to be great in this deck. You got Marionette Master. It's basically Aristocrats, but for your artifacts. That seems pretty decent. Especially if you can get this thing pretty big, then you can just deal a lot of damage very easily. You've got Last Laugh. Seems interesting in the deck. It'll bring everybody's life totals down, but because you have the life gain synergies, you can keep your life total higher than everyone else's, so you're slowly killing off everybody else. What else we got here? You can throw in cards like Junk Diver, Mere Retriever, Scrap Trawler, like those types of cards, and just try to cycle them in and out of the graveyard to get a lot of extra value there. You've got Mazarek. You're going to be sacrificing a lot. Might as well make your board pretty big. But he's a very 50-50 depending on the way you build the deck, because you're going to want to have a lot of creatures out on the board if Mazarek's doing its thing. If you don't have a ton of creatures, then it's not going to be... Like, if you don't go wide, then it's not going to be the best. Then you got your recurable creatures. Creatures that come in and out of the graveyard very easily. Just get those triggers up. Skyclave Shade, Reassembling Skeleton, Bloodghast, Nether Trader. Silver Smoke Ghoul is awesome in this deck because you sack a food and then you can bring it back because it's 3 life. And you can sack it to draw cards. So, right, it's awesome. It's an awesome card for this deck. And we got Nim Devourer, who gets bigger based on the number of artifacts you control. Nice. And has a recursive ability that also is aristocratsy. That seems pretty good. And lastly, you can go food tribal. You finally got a good food commander. So you can throw in all the good food cards like Savvy Hunter to draw cards. You got Trail of Crumbs for card advantage. Feasting Troll King, awesome in this deck. It's another very recursive creature, and it bounces in and out of the graveyard just from foods. That's awesome. Gilded Goose can pump out food. Also turn food into mana. You got Wicked Wolf, which can use food to be indestructible and kill something. Fierce Witch Stalker, ETB, make food. If you're going to be able to cycle that thing in and out of the graveyard, then you'll be able to create a good amount of food with that. Giant Opportunity, you can turn your food into a giant or just make more food. You got Giant Skewer, you can swing in and make food. You got Gingerbread Cabin, it enters and makes food. You got Gluttonous Troll, which makes food. And what else does that one do? I forgot the other part of that one. It makes food and it can pump itself. It's got trample, so that's not bad. We got Taste of Death, which is a good kind of board wipe-ish. Like it kills a bunch of creatures and makes food. And then we got Tempting Witch, which makes food. And it can also dome your opponent it can basically lightning bolt your opponent, which is nice. And you can throw in some actual, like, not like food, the card mechanic, but cards that are related to food, like Hot Soup and Butcher's Cleaver. But Hot Soup is actually a really good one because you can make a commander unblockable and just swing in for a bunch of damage over and over and over again. Especially if you go that Voltron route. That seems great in the deck. And that is everything I've got for Gyome Master Chef. Remember, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. It's right there, and it's right there, and it's right there. Just click it. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, everybody.